You ever have one of those days where you think nothing could possibly happen? Just a boring Tuesday that slips by unnoticed, and then out of nowhere, it turns into the kind of day you'll be telling stories about for the rest of your life. That was me standing in the middle of the fanciest grocery store in town with nothing more than a bag of organic kale in my cart. I wasn't trying to make a statement, wasn't planning on picking a fight. Just wanted to get my greens, maybe grab some heirloom tomatoes if I was feeling fancy, then head home, throw together a salmon salad, and watch some mindless TV. That was the plan. And then she appeared. At first it was just a voice, sharp, cutting through the soft music that played over the speakers. "Why don't you stick to the junk food aisle? That's where your kind belongs." I froze, half convinced she was talking to someone on her phone. But then she stepped right in front of my cart, blocking my path to the avocados like she was the gatekeeper of produce. And there she was, this woman who looked like she'd just lost a fight with a can of hairspray, her polo stretched tight over her frame beige shorts. Nobody in history has ever looked good, in her face scrunched, like she'd just smelled something rancid. And those eyes, sharp, beady little blue eyes, locked right onto me, then flicked to my cart, like I'd just committed a crime against humanity by picking up almond milk and quinoa. "This aisle is for people who care about their bodies," she said, her voice dripping with self-righteous venom. "You're here to cause trouble. I can see it on your face." I actually looked down at my own face like maybe I'd missed something. Trouble. The only thing on my face was confusion and the last trace of a breakfast burrito. I managed, "I'm sorry, are you talking to me?" My voice was calm, which was a miracle because inside my heart was thudding like a drumline. She smirked this smug, ugly little grin and doubled down. "Oh, you know I'm talking to you. You people come in here with your EBT cards, buying up the food hard-working taxpayers like me pay for, then you resell it. Not on my watch." My jaw hit the floor. I've got a good job, a debit card in my pocket. And not that it should matter, but her assumptions were so layered in racism it was almost cartoonish. I tried to push my cart around her, but she planted herself like a wall and put a hand on it. "No, you're not getting away. I have the right to question suspicious activity." Suspicious activity. Grocery shopping. The absurdity of explaining that in the middle of a grocery store just about broke my brain. By now, people were starting to notice. You could see the heads peeking over the shelves, ears tuned in while pretending to browse olive oil. An old man in a cardigan shot me a sympathetic look, but he wasn't about to step in. Karen, let's call her that, because what else could she be? Jabbed her finger at my almond milk like it was contraband. "You people should drink real milk, not this fancy nut juice." I deadpanned, "Ma'am, I'm lactose intolerant." It didn't even register. Her firewall was up, nothing getting through. "A likely story," she spat. "You're trying to be something you're not, putting on a show, pretending to belong here." At that point, I took a breath, tried reason one last time. "Look, I'm just buying groceries. Please let me move on with my day." But reason wasn't the right tool for this job. She grabbed the cart with both hands, knuckles white, and shrieked, "Put it all back. Go buy what you're supposed to buy. I won't let this neighborhood be eroded by your kind of display." Her voice echoed. The store manager kid couldn't have been older than 22, polo shirt swallowing him whole name tag, just reading manager, came jogging over, looking like he'd walked into a war zone. "Is there a problem here?" His voice cracked. Before I could speak, Karen transformed. In a blink, the monster act melted into a fragile old lady performance, hand on her chest, voice trembling. "Thank goodness you're here." This man was aggressive. He blocked the aisle, yelled at me, cursed at me. I stood there speechless. It was like watching an Oscar performance. She flipped the script, painted me as the big, scary black man, and herself as the terrified victim. The manager, sweating bullets, looked at me. "Sir, maybe you could just finish shopping in another aisle to de-escalate." My blood ran cold. He was siding with her. She smirked like she'd just won the lottery. That was the moment I pulled out my phone and hit record. "What are you doing?" she snapped, her confidence wobbling. "Documenting," I said. "Your harassment, your lies, and how the store's handling it." Her mask cracked, then hardened, and she whipped out her own phone. "Yes, 911, she practically shouted loud enough for everyone to hear. "I need help. There's a large black man threatening me. I'm scared for my life," I kept recording, heart pounding. This woman was fabricating an entire story in real time. Within minutes, the wail of sirens cut through the store. 2 cops walked in, one older with a gray mustache. Calm eyes, the other young and stiff hand resting a little too close to his holster. Karen pointed at me. "That's him, he threatened me." I lowered my phone slowly, but kept recording from the side. "Officers, that's not what happened. I have everything on video." The older cop, let's call him Officer Gray Stash, asked to see it. He watched, his face unreadable as her tirade and lies played out. The younger cop sneaked a look, suspicion in his eyes, shifting to annoyance at Karen. When the video ended, Gray Stash sighed like a man too old for this nonsense. He turned to her. "So you called 911 claiming this man was threatening to assault you when what actually happened is—" "He was buying groceries," Karen stammered. "It's a deep fake." He raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, he recorded this 2 minutes ago. Unless he's running a Hollywood studio in his pocket." "I don't think so." He gave her one last warning, another false report, and she'd be arrested. She abandoned her cart and stormed out, leaving me shaken but standing. I thought it was over. But when I got home, heart still racing, I realized it wasn't. People like her don't stop. They regroup. That night, I uploaded the video online just for accountability. Figured my friends would see it, maybe we'd laugh at the insanity. By morning, it had gone viral, millions of views, news blogs, social media exploding. Most people supported me, outraged on my behalf. But then came the trolls, the threats, messages that said, "We know who you are. Watch your back." And then the note in my mailbox, "I know where you live. This isn't over." The beige sedan started appearing on my street. One day, she even stood across from my driveway as I unloaded groceries, phone in hand, calling 911 again, this time claiming I was breaking into my own SUV. Cops showed up, but body cams and my recordings proved the truth. Officer Gray Stash told me, "Get a restraining order. It's the only way to stop this." So I did. I spent hours in court writing down every incident, attaching police reports, videos. The judge gave me a temporary order, then permanent 5 years, 500 feet. I thought that was the shield I needed. But Karen danced right on the edge of that line. She parked just outside the zone, sat for hours watching my house. She spread flyers in the neighborhood claiming I was a radical agitator. She even delivered food orders. I never placed magazine subscriptions. I never asked for anything to remind me she still had reach. I felt like a prisoner in my own home. My neighbor Mary, a kind older lady with a rose garden, noticed. She'd testified for me before, and now she became my quiet ally. One night she called me in a whisper. "She's back, parked down the street." She got out and took a picture of your house. Mary had a doorbell camera angled just right, covering my driveway. Together we waited. And then it happened. In the dead of night, Mary's camera caught everything: the beige sedan pulling up Karen in a hoodie, spray cans in hand, painting racial slurs and a swastika on my garage door. Then she planted a bag of drugs by my trash, pulled out her phone, and called 911. Her plan was clear: frame me as a criminal. Minutes later, police were at my door. But this time I had the ace: Mary's footage. They watched it stunned as her entire scheme unraveled on screen. They found the planted baggie exactly where she left it. No more warnings. By dawn, she was in handcuffs. The trial was months later. Karen sat at the defendant's table, pearls around her neck, trying to look like someone's sweet grandmother. But the videos spoke louder than any tears she could fake. The jury saw her lies in the grocery store, the false calls, the stalking, the garage vandalism, the planted drugs. Mary testified steady as a rock, describing what she'd seen. Even Karen's own lawyer looked defeated. The verdict came back guilty on all charges. The judge looked her dead in the eye. You tried to use the color of a man's skin as a weapon. You turned systems meant to protect us into tools of hate. You lied, you harassed, you stalked, and you endangered. You are not a victim, you are a perpetrator. And with that, she sentenced her to 3 years in prison. No probation, no community service. Real time. Karen slumped in her chair, disbelief etched on her face. I walked out of that courthouse with Mary by my side, the sun on my face, feeling not triumphant, but simply relieved. Relieved it was over, that the ghost haunting my life was finally behind bars. I repainted my garage, went back to my routines, but I wasn't the same. I was stronger, sharper, maybe a little more cautious. And every now and then, when I'm in the grocery store, I make a point to stroll down the organic aisle. I grab kale, almond milk, maybe quinoa, and I smile because I know exactly where I belong. Anywhere I damn well please. So what do you think? Was justice served, or was 3 years too light for someone who tried to weaponize lies and hate? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your take. And if you've ever faced something like this, share your story. Let's talk about it.